Alright, welcome back to another Supercoach team update and round review video. Look, overall, I've had a great start. You can see it off to a bit of a fly there, top 1,000 already. Followed up a pretty strong first round with a really strong second round. It was great to see Rucks bounce back. That really helped me. But this is where the real Supercoach begins. Navigating your trades for the year, how you handle injuries, premium disappointments, how you manage your cash, your resources effectively to get through week by week. This is what really differentiates those that kind of just had a lucky start versus those that are able to carry that through and really have a strong finish. So I'm going to go through my team, but then also I'm going to cover hopefully the must-have rookies, what trades you should be making this week, or what types of trades you should be thinking about. And then providing, I guess, some quick specific advice on Caldwell, Fyfe, Cripps, and Neale. But if you do have any other players you'd like thoughts on, please feel to drop a comment below. So without further ado, let's jump in. Okay. So this is the team. I didn't make any trades last week, which look is a little bit disappointing. I knew that I wanted Jordan, and I knew it was going to be for Carl. But it's just the type of trade that I hold off for 1 week because you want to make sure that Jordan gets through and looks alright, that he's going to hold his spot. You want to confirm that Carl's a dud, even though I was pretty sure he was after 1 week's effort. And look, that all came through. And the upshot of that was it meant I felt fielded Rowe over Jordan. So that cost me 60 points. Combined with not fielding Rowe last week, that cost me like another 60 points. So Rowe's done me for 120 already, which is pretty nice. But I'm sure others have had many problems with rookies. But look, overall, it's not looking too bad in terms of rookies. I prioritised picking safety over scoring potential, and that's why I picked people like Cahill and Jones over someone like Bergman and Jordan, because even though I knew Jordan and Bergman were going to be better scoring potential, there was real concern about their job security. Jordan, I guess, was both really good. He looks great, but also got a little bit fortunate with Melbourne's midfield depth kind of being injured a little bit. And then Bergman, I'm a little unsure about because he's got a lot of praise from Hinkley, but he's also turned over the ball a lot. He's someone that if you told me he was going to play every game for the next 5-6 rounds, I would have no problems trading him in. I'm just not sure that he actually holds his spot, but injury to Burton, I think it was, kind of helps him a little bit. So we'll see. So let's knock my first trade out because this is 100% going to be locked in. The team's going to look so much better once this is done. Okay. So the rest of the team, let's go over it. So in the defense, look, great to see Lloyd bounce back. If you watched him, he was just straight back into doing Lloyd things. It's exactly what we've become accustomed to. Laird had a good score. He's just been solid and consistent. Ridley's been an absolute standout, and he is just one of those defenders that if you have to sideways into someone this week, like, he's someone you should be going after. The kick-out rule is huge. So there's two things that have happened here. Scoring's gone bananas, right? So you're seeing teams put up, 25, 30 scoring shots a game, and then you're seeing all the kick-outs basically be taken advantage of. So you have someone like Ridley who's playing for my terrible side. We're going to be bottom 4 almost definitely based on the first couple of rounds, and we're conceding 30 scoring shots a game, what's our average, plus we had more injuries. It's just going to be a bloodbath. He's getting like 10 free kickouts a game, which is huge, and they're all long and effective. He spent most of the game 100% disposal efficiency, but he's also our best defender who takes intercepts and spoils. It's honestly like you've got the seagullness of a Jake Lloyd combined with someone that's actually a good defender. Picking out someone that's young, that's only had 1 year on the board is I guess really risky, but everything I've seen from Ridley plus Essendon's game script says that he's got a really strong chance of actually being the number 1 defender this year. Short was great. There's not much more you can say. Young and Clark were, I guess, a little bit disappointing this week after what was reasonably good last week, especially given Highmore scored more, but, kind of you do expect some up and downness with these two, and the reason why you have them is job security over some of the other rookies, like, Sharp, who I think is probably not getting a game this week. They're going to be up and down, but will persist, and hopefully you just get enough 80s and 90s that they get to a good price over the next few rounds. Jumping into the midfield, Oliver and McRae, absolute guns, both of them. Like, it's kind of neat. They're both averaging the same, like, very beautiful. Very synchronous of the two. Just jets, like, if you don't have them, and once again you need a sideways, like, I would be trading, jumping ahead, but I'd be trading Neale to either of these if you don't have them. Merritt and Kelly, yeah, look, disappointing start from these two. I think they'll both bounce back, or at least I'm hoping. The thing I'm worried about with Merritt is that he tried all game, was in a lot of the right places, getting a lot of ball, but once again, Essendon's game script is just awful, and it really does seem like scoring scaling's going to winning teams. So if someone like Merritt's actually not going to get that many wins this year, like that's pretty scary. I think the other thing is like Essendon's lost. It seems like Draper, our main ruck's gone for 12 weeks. So by the way, keep an eye on Brian, who's a rookie ruck for Essendon. He, I think, gets the nod over Phillips. He's been very impressive both in the preseason and the two, so that's someone that could be a downgrade target for a Flynn in a few weeks, but we'll see how that goes. So on Merritt, so you've got Draper that's out for 12 weeks, our main ruck, and then you've got Shield that's out for 12 weeks, and then you've got Caldwell that's also out for 3 weeks. So, look, I guess Merritt's going to be playing in the midfield a lot, but it also means he's going to be targeted a lot, so I'm not really sure how that affects his scoring, but yeah, this is a little bit worrying. And then same with Josh Kelly, like Greater Western Sydney have just been awful. A lot of people expect them to bounce back, and there's no indication that's going to happen. Grundy and Gawn both had really good games. We'd watch tape on both of them during the week, and neither of them played poorly on tape. They were actually both pretty good, but kind of just seemed to be a victim of circumstance from the game scripts in round one, and they start slow and yada yada yada. So good to see them bounce back. I don't think it's going to be 130s from here on out, but I do think it's going to be like a 115 to 120 range, and definitely not regressing worse than that, which is what I guess some people had thought. Finally, the forward line, Josh Dunkley, absolute gun. He's getting enough mid-minutes for sure, like must have, especially at his price. Phillips, shocking. Zeeble and Impey are both must have of the mid prices. Like Impey was probably underscored last week and might be a little bit overscored this week, but yeah, overall he's just a really, really solid pick. And then Zeeble was unfortunate probably not to go back-to-back 100s. He was on track at halftime, but then picked up a little nick. He's as long as his body holds up, he's a great selection. And then I'm not going to go over the rookies too much, just because we're going to cover them, I guess, like very shortly on who are the must-haves. Who am I missing from this team that I really wish I had? In defence, kind of no one. I mean, Houston scored pretty well. There's no world others that were going to start him, though, especially after last year's burn. It's always the way that last year's burnmen become this year's breakouts, but hey. Really glad I didn't start Daniel, though. Absolute defensive liability day. That was my concern. It cost at least the Dogs 2 goals in a close game. It might have been more. I didn't get to watch all the game, unfortunately. So yeah, I'd be a little bit worried about him. I'm glad I have him in the midfield. Look, yeah, Merritt and Kelly probably wish for someone else, but honestly, it's not like there's any other mids that I was seriously considering that have like gone much better than them. So, I'm just glad that I avoided Cripps and Neale and the injuries, even though they have been a little bit disappointing. And the forward line, like Dusty's the big miss here. God, like if you somehow had the cash for Phillips to be Dusty, be absolutely flying. So I'm still have to hope, I guess, a little bit that he does start to regress. Because if he keeps scoring like that, it's going to be really hard to get him. And Phillips just a spud. Like honestly, he's one of those picks I got convinced into, and that I never believed in, but it just kind of fit the structure, and other people believed it enough that it kind of gave me the confidence. But I knew he was an outside nobody that can't kick for crap, and here we are, like just absolute butchered the ball. All this talk of like CBA's inside mid time, I knew it wasn't going to happen. They still had all these inside mids to come back, and I still did the pick. Oh, so frustrated with myself. We're going to go through options for him in a minute. All right, so quickly, must-have rookies. This is the number one priority this week. Who are the must-have rookies? So for me, that is Kaczynski, Highmore, Powell, Jordan, Berry probably. I mean, he didn't touch the ball much, but he got like 10 tackles, which I think the Crows like in the young, effortful team. He had like 3 or 4 shots a goal and missed all of them, which was a bit unfortunate. He could have scored a lot more. So yeah, Berry I think is a must-have. Goulden, absolutely. Like, come on, if you don't have him, like, just delete the team. And then Campbell and Warner, like, all must-haves. After that, I think you've got Brockman, whose job security looks really good. Rose looks pretty good. Harrison Jones looks pretty good. Look, Jones and Rowe with the 5 and 19, definitely not must trade in. So it's going to be slow burns. Brockman's a little bit better off. McNeil, after today's game, looks like he actually might have a bit of job security. Scott, not so much. It's kind of flipped in a week, but I'm not really optimistic about either. We started them because they were cheap. Hopefully they get a few more games and they can kind of get a quick 100k out. And then Bergman and Sharp and Fullerton are probably the other big three that are worth talking about. I think Fullerton and Sharp get dropped either this week or next week. I don't think they're going to make much money. And then Bergman, once again, I think he's going to score well if he holds his spot, but I don't know if he holds his spot. Hunter and Meek, the other two. Meek scored like an 82. For those that were running Flynn, Meek, like absolutely brilliant. You just got to hope that once Treaky is also available, that he still holds his spot, maybe off the back of today's game. Actually been pretty good, so maybe he holds. And then Hunter, I think, is a bit of an avoid. All right, so rookies kind of been covered. I guess, well, maybe I'll talk about Phillips now. So, actually, no, I'll talk about it later. So, what we'll talk about is like what trades you should be doing this week. So, firstly, number one priority is get the right rookies. Cash is king. You're trying to generate as much money as possible. That is where we should be aiming this week to maximize cash generation. So, pick up the must-have rookies you don't have. Once that's done, you should either be sidewaysing failed, like mid-pricer or premium picks, to the other big cash gen targets that kind of make sense. So if you don't have Impey, Zeeble, these are two that you should really heavily be going after. I'd say on the back of this week's scores, Young and Clark definitely aren't must-haves, but there are options. And then finally, for example, this is where like Tom Phillips, not someone I loved. I think he is someone I could be looking at going, that would be nice. Who can I trade him to that kind of fits along the 7 rules? And unfortunately for me, there's no obvious choice. I'd have to go risky. So there's 3 options for me. Sam Switalski, it's his 3rd year playing, I want to see, for Fremantle. Averaged like a 65 last year. Started really hot. He's a smaller forward. But with Freo kind of, winning the first couple of games, he's got quite a low break even on the back of this. Their fixture is really nice too, so they have Blues, Hawks, Crows and North in the next 4, so he's someone that could kind of keep up this scoring and make a bit of cash. The next one is Tex Walker, so look, huge average, like a 143 and a 146 or something were his 2 scores, just absolutely ridiculous. If he scores 80s in the next 2 games, he's still getting up to 420k real quick. And then you kind of just trade him out after that. And it looks likely that they could do that. I mean, he's obviously in a great spot of form, but they've got Gold Coast Suns, North, Fremantle, Hawks in the next 4. I really think like Gold Coast North in the next 2. Like North, just awful. He could kick it on the bag there, right? Might even restart his cash gen for Freo and Hawks. So Tex is the one that I'm kind of leaning towards. And then there's one other option, which is Supercoach George's pod, which is Tom Atkins, 1.9% ownership. I mean, all of these guys are low ownership, right? This is a little bit of a nice problem to have, to not need to do another rookie correction and kind of like fix someone like Phillips. Not have to worry about injuries, not have to worry about Neale. Like I've been pretty lucky so far. Well, I say lucky, but I did make conscious design, like team structure decisions with rookies, and then there's certain players I avoided for certain reasons, kind of paid off, but still a bit fortunate. So Atkins is the other one. So he's probably the safest in the sense that like he's not a forward that is just prone to high variance scoring up and down and is like reliant on their team doing well. He's scored well despite being pretty average for the Cats. Despite like his disposal kind of being a little bit average. Like he's probably had more clangers than he otherwise would. He's got less immediate cash to make probably than the other 2, just given that he's off a lower average. But at 107, I guess not really that different. But I'm a little bit worried that Duncan, Menegola, and Danger coming back have an effect. And I know he doesn't play the same position as them. It's more about point sharing and what happens, I guess. He gets a lot of ball between the 50, even though he plays a half-back role. And I do think them coming back probably detracts from that. So I don't see any of them as a keeper, but Atkins is the most likely to be a keeper if one of them was to be. So yeah, I think like as of right now, this is my other trade. It seems a bit crazy. Like, I actually can't believe I'm trading Tex Walker in to generate money. Oh god, I might reverse that and just like, I don't know. But the idea would be he gets to 420k in a couple of weeks. I've got 145 on top of that. That gives me 560k without having to do another trade to get him up to a premium early. So that'd be really strong if I was able to pull that off. All right. So if you have to do a sideways trade, like say you've fixed all your rookies, you've got all the good cash generators, and you're actually just sidewaysing premiums because you really want to get off someone at the moment, who should you go for? In defense, I think it's Lloyd or Ridley. If you're looking for someone cheaper, I think like Houston's running hot. As I kind of mentioned, I'd probably avoid. Otherwise, like Shaw's a good cheaper option as well. For the mid targets, like McRae and Oliver just look amazing in both games. And they're durable. Like there's reasons why I picked them, right? Great scoring history. They're always top 8. They're durable and they've started hot. Like, yeah, I just don't know how you go past them. And then for the forward line, Dunkley is a must-have for me, and then Martin would be the other really good option. So quickly, because I don't want this video to go on for too much longer, what are the, if you've got Caldwell, Fyfe, Neale, Cripps, what do you do? Caldwell's a 3-week cammy. That is a must trade. So once again, look for one of those, Zeeble or Impy options if you don't have them. Campbell if you don't have them. Oh, McDonald's the only other rookie I didn't mention. Not someone I'd be targeting, but I guess you could if you were desperate and you had all these others. But yeah, Tex is probably the option of the 3 I kind of talked about. That's not too bad. Fyfe is a hold. He got a pretty bad concussion by the looks of things. He was probably going to miss 1 week and then be back, and so that's just a hold. You don't trade for that. Neale for me, the film review last week showed that he played average. His efforts were not there. He looked pretty bad again, and the fact he was tagged didn't help. I suspect he's carrying something. If you want to hold him, I'd be paying very close attention to the news this week to see if there's any hints that he actually, the calf complaint in the preseason still lingering, or if something else is going on, because he just doesn't look like Neale from the last couple of years, and that worries me. But players like Neale, they can be one game away from good form. So if you have bigger problems, I would not be worried about holding him. But he's going to lose so much money. He's someone that I reckon I'm going to pick up for under 650k, maybe even closer to 600k pre-buys. So, if you can trade him into someone that's going to make you a fair bit of money and then get him back cheaper, it can be worth it just on a value basis. And then finally, Cripps is the other one. He just doesn't seem to be a premium. A lot of talk about game style not suiting him, yada yada yada. I don't know what happened, man. There's no reason why someone with that really major injury history, that is still young, still approaching their prime, should fall off this badly. It doesn't seem like work ethic's been a problem for him in the past, and there are other players that have contested ball winning as a centerpiece of the game. Oliver is a great example of that, and he hasn't fallen off a cliff when it comes to Supercoach scoring or just in general play. So yeah, I think Cripps is just not a premium based on what we've seen. I think if you have the luxury, I would be sidewaysing him. Walsh is a great cheap option in the midfield. His teammate who will benefit from the rules. His elite running is going to help him, but his disposal kind of scares me a little bit, but he seems like someone that could be top 8 and is cheaper. So that's probably your easy out. Otherwise, yeah, I'd be looking to get to one of the other kind of premiums we talked about. So yeah, I hope your season has started off well too. I feel like a lot of the advice and the tier lists that we kind of went over in the preseason have held up pretty well and put us in good stead. But if you do have any players you would like, specifically kind of talked about, please put them in the comments below. Otherwise, you can reach me on Twitter or drop by Supercoach George's Discord, and there's always people chatting, giving advice. So yeah, best of luck, and let me know what you think about Tex Walker. Someone you getting in?